Hi, welcome students for the session of Construction Quality Management. In today's session, we'll be going to discuss a topic of Module 5, that is entrepreneurship. So let's start with the session. So as this quote or image, what it says, an entrepreneur is an inspirer, a motivator, or a change. Now, what do you mean by entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship is a process of starting a new business. And the person who starts a new business is called as an entrepreneur. He is an organizer of a business, firm central to its distributive and productive function. And entrepreneurs are the specialized group of persons who bear the risk and deal with uncertainties. An entrepreneur is an economic man who tries to maximize his profits by innovations, whereas innovation involves the problem solving, and the entrepreneur gets the satisfaction from using the capabilities in attacking the problems. And we can tell the entrepreneurs are the people who have an ability to see and evaluate the business opportunities. He is the one who innovates and introduces something new in the company. Now let's study how the entrepreneurs has evolved, that is evolution of entrepreneurship. So it started from the earliest 16th century, that is during the 16th 17th century. Marco Polo named person is an early example of an entrepreneur who attempted to establish the trade route to Far East, that is the eastern side of a European plateau. Marco Polo signed the contract with money person to sell his goods. So at that time, at the end of the work, he achieved around 75% of the profit by selling the goods and by signing the contract. So that was the earliest period where the era of the entrepreneurship started. Then in the Middle Ages, the entrepreneurs were described as the actors, person, manager. So his job was to only to manage the large production projects, and he was merely managing the business, while taking the risk was borne by the government of the country and not the entrepreneur. And we can say that a typical entrepreneur in the Middle Ages were the clerk in charge of the great architectures. Then in the 17th century, the entrepreneur started emerging in the connection of risk, which was developed with the 17th century. In this stage, the entrepreneur would enter in the contract with the government with the fixed payment, and the profit or the loss that incurred had to be borne by the entrepreneur. So during this type of in these stages, the entrepreneur was had to take some risks. So that era started the risk-taking businesses. Then in the 18th century, where the entrepreneurs were divided into two persons, person with capital and person who needed the capital. The major reason for such differentiation was due to the industrialization occurring throughout the world, whereas many inventors developed during the period which led for the creation of the changing world. Then coming to the 19th and 20th century, during this period, the entrepreneurs were not distinguished from the managers and viewed mostly as the managers. And from the economic perspective, the following were the manners how they viewed as the managers, because the entrepreneurs had to organize and operate the enterprise for his personal gains, like as the manager of a private company. Then he contributed his own initiative, skills in planning, organizing, and administering the companies. Then he assumed that the chance of loss and gain consequent to the uncontrollable factors. So because of these reasons, the entrepreneurs were treated as that of the managers. Then during the period of 20th century, the entrepreneurs was seen as the innovator in the economy. He was the one who came up with the unique concept in the market because he performed the various functions such as he revolutionized the pattern of production by many inventions. He opened the new sources of supply of raw materials, or we can say as the new change of the outlets of the products. So there was a period where totally the industrial was revolutionized. Then coming to the current century, that is 21st century, there were two characteristics associated with the entrepreneur by their innovation and creativity. Creativity is to bring some new things into the existence, where the innovators are the practical people who create more opportunities available in the reality. So here the following principles of innovations emerge leading to the success of the entrepreneur. That is the action oriented and searching of new ideas, making the product service simple and understandable, trying, testing and revising, learning from failures, and the hard work was the key to the success. So we are saying the new variety of changes in the 21st century which leads to the successful entrepreneur. Now coming to the functions of entrepreneur, what are the various functions has to carry out or has to execute by an entrepreneur? First and foremost, which is very important, is risk measurement and risk taking. Risk taking and risk measurement is the primary function of entrepreneur. Risks are not only related to success or failure, but also involves the personal and professional career foregone for the sake of the opportunities. So as an entrepreneur, he has to take the risk not only for the success or failure, but has the professional or the personal which has sacrificed some of his personal life for the successful of the business. Then he has to be innovate, or he has to be creativity or discover. So entrepreneurship is the innovativeness of individual and does not involve the ownership. The principal function of the entrepreneur is to carry out the new combinations of means of production. He has to analyze the market and devise effective strategies to face present and future competitions. Then third function is he has to analyze the opportunities. As an entrepreneur, has to have some opportunities, maybe in the seeking the style, where he has to evaluate the credibility of various alternatives, and he has to choose the suitable alternative which will prove the profit in the future. Then the fourth one is the strategies for the venture. The entrepreneur has to strategize the long-term plan for starting a venture or a business. He has to analyze the market and devise the effective strategies to face the present and future competition. Develop the business plan. Business plan is a written document containing the details about every aspect of the proposed business venture. It will provide you the roadmap where you can work, where you are working in the company to attain the objectives, and will get so that roadmaps not only useful for attaining the objectives, but also the same can be explained to the customers or the stakeholders. That is how you are going to develop a business. Then next one is the acquiring these resources. As an entrepreneur, you has to acquire the various type of resources such as men, money, material, machinery to start the venture. Entrepreneur has a suitable skills to line up the required resources for the company. Then the next type of function is he has to organize and start the venture. As an entrepreneur should be good as an organizer, he should deploy the suitable resources at right place and in right time, which is required for the company to ensure the effective work of organization. Next is develop and grow the venture. It is not only important to start a business, but also companies should be able to respond to changes happening in the business market, which is crucial factor deciding the existence of the company. Then the next function is delegate, direct, and lead the plan. During the growth stage of the company, the entrepreneurs should provide required resources for the company, and at the later stage, he has to come with the various strategies to face the competition and guides the employees in the company for performance of the betterment as a role of leader. Then the next function is supervision and control. For a success of a business, it is important to have a suitable mechanism in a place so that the entrepreneur can track overall success of the company. Okay, so these are the some of the characteristics of an functions of an entrepreneur. Next, we study about the some of the characteristics or the features of a entrepreneur. So there are the various characteristics or the features. Some of the important characteristics are been listed here. That is vision, knowledge, desire to succeed, independence, optimistic, value addition, leadership, hardworking, and risk-taking ability. Now coming to the first one, that is vision. As an entrepreneur has to work hardly to fulfill his dreams in process to achieve his objectives. He should visualize the market scenario, socio-economic and technological environment based upon the informations which predicts the future situations, and accordingly he has to plan his vision and ways to achieve the desired objectives. The second one is the knowledge. As an entrepreneur who is the soul of organization, he should have a sufficient acquisition of the knowledge about the operations carried in the organizations so that he can direct and regulate the activities of his employees from time to time. Then as an entrepreneur are recognized in the society because of their varied mindset and high dreams, which motivates them to bring in invention and innovation in the area of their business. So by that they can desire a success. Then independence. Entrepreneurs need some independence in their work because they are not going to follow the rules of the thumb rules, like what we call as the thumb rules. Okay, they will be having their own mindset. They will be independent on others to carry out the works. Then optimistic. As an entrepreneur, they should be always optimistic about achieving their objectives as they intended to take the risk to any extent to accomplish the desired goals. Then as a value addition, the entrepreneurs are known for bringing the new things in the market. They create, innovate, add values to the existing products in the market. Then hardworking entrepreneurs are known to be workaholic. They put in continuous efforts to achieve the success and know that there is no substitute for the hard work. And as an entrepreneur, you should have a risk-taking ability in all phase of the project. Next here is we have to discuss the types of entrepreneurs. So they have been classified according to the various factors. Now, according to the type of business, the entrepreneurs may be classified as business entrepreneurs, trading entrepreneurs, industrial entrepreneurs, corporate entrepreneurs, and agriculture entrepreneurs. The business entrepreneurs are who sets the ideas of new products or services, then translate the ideas into reality. The trading entrepreneurs can be called who concerned with the trading activities. They are basically into buying the finished activities and selling to the customer directly or through the retailer. Then industrial entrepreneur is the one who sets the industrial unit. He perceives the opportunities to set up his business, complies with necessary formalities, and ensures the availability of required resources for starting the business. Then we can call the entrepreneur as the corporate entrepreneur when he starts planning, developing, or managing the corporate body. He promotes, organizes, and directs the responsibilities for the running of the organization. Then the agriculture entrepreneurs is the one who is engaged in the agricultural activities. He uses the latest technologies to increase the productivity of agriculture. Then according to the use of technology, there are three types of entrepreneurs: technical entrepreneurs, non-technical entrepreneurs, and professional entrepreneurs. When we can call as the entrepreneur as technical entrepreneur, when he has a technical knowledge abundant and uses that technical knowledge in the craftsman skill which he develops to apply and implements the various technical aspects for the manufacturing of a product. Then the non-technical entrepreneurs mainly believe in coming up with new strategies rather than concentrating the technical aspects. His target is not to change the technology related, but rather increasing in the demand for the product with effective strategies by attracting the customers. Then professional entrepreneur are the one who are interested in the floating a business rather than managing or operating the business. Then according to the stages of development, again there are three types: first generation, second generation, and classical entrepreneur. So as the name indicate, first generation are those who do not possess any entrepreneurial background. They start the industrial business by the means of their own innovative skills. Okay. Then the entrepreneurs who inherit the family business firm and pass it from one generation to another, they come under the second type of entrepreneurs, that is the second generation entrepreneur. Whereas the classical entrepreneur we can call as the stereotype entrepreneur who aims to maximize his economic returns at every level with the survival of the unit with or without the element of growth. Then according to the capital ownership, we classify the entrepreneur as this private entrepreneur, state entrepreneur, and the joint entrepreneur. In a private entrepreneur, the individual or group of people together set up the enterprise, collectively bear the profit and loss of the company, and adopts the latest techniques in the business in the private entrepreneurship. Then in the state entrepreneurship, we can call or we can refer to the trading or industry ventures which will be taken by the state governments, that is the state or the government. And in the joint entrepreneur refers to the combination of private and state enterprise running the business by sharing the resources with each other. So these are the some of the classification or types of entrepreneurs which comes under the various stages. Then moving on to the entrepreneur, he is the person who works within the organization, utilizes the resources available within the organization, and tries to accomplish the present task in innovative and creative manner by effective utilization of available resources. So entrepreneur is completely different from entrepreneur. Okay, he'll be not going to change the ideas, but only he will be working as per the given ideas or given plan in an innovative manner or in the creative manner. Now coming to the characteristics of entrepreneur, he also have some features or the characteristics such as he creates the new venture, innovates the products and services, innovates the process. He will be always a proactive in a company or in a group. Risk taking, bears the risk taking, renews the organization, and completely he will be aggressive. Now creative new venture means always thinking of new business within the existing organization, which is a typical characteristics. Then entrepreneur always try to create the effectiveness at the workplace, which updates the organization techniques to the implementation of latest technologies. And in order to sustain in the market, the company's strategy should be effective to that of the competitors. So for which the entrepreneur always renews the company's process at the regular interval of time. And entrepreneurs always attempt to lead rather than follow the competitors through their proactivity in terms of advanced operations in the company. So I always try to lead rather than follow the other companies. Then as an entrepreneur has to possess the risk taking the attitude with the regard to investment decisions and strategic actions. And always he is expected to transform the organization through the renewal of key ideas. And entrepreneurs are always expected to come up with new strategies to stabilize or develop the company's brand or image in the market. So this will be possible when he may be a completely aggressive in the company. So these are some of the characteristics of a entrepreneur. Now, if we want to compare the entrepreneur and entrepreneur in some of the points, let's see. So first points of distinction is the qualities. As an entrepreneur, he is an innovative, risk taker, and a high achiever. Whereas an entrepreneur is a person having all the qualities and characteristics of an entrepreneur. In terms of goal management, an entrepreneur starts a venture by setting up a new enterprise for his personal gratification. Whereas an entrepreneur mainly aims of an entrepreneur is to render his service in enterprise which is already set up by the someone. And as per the status, an entrepreneur is the owner of enterprise. Whereas an entrepreneur is a person who works for the others as a paid employee. Then risk-taking ability, as an entrepreneur bears all the risks and uncertainty involved in the enterprise. Whereas an entrepreneur does not bear all the risk involved in the enterprise. Because as he is working in the employee as a other person, so complete risk will be not there on him. Rewards. So entrepreneur who takes the risk in all the aspects also receives the profits. It is only uncertain and irregular, but can times be negative also. Whereas in the entrepreneur, which is a fixed and regular income, can never be negative. So as an employer, you will be getting a fixed amount of salary. So there are no chances of getting the loss in the business. So these are some of the points where we can distinct the entrepreneur and entrepreneur. Okay. So in this session, we discussed about entrepreneurship. What is entrepreneurship? How the entrepreneurship was developed? What are the characteristics of the entrepreneur? What are the various functions he has to role or he has to play in the company as an entrepreneur? Then we studied what are the types of entrepreneurs depending upon their work or depending upon their stages. Then we studied about the entrepreneur, what are the various factors or the various characteristics of entrepreneur. Then how the entrepreneur and entrepreneur can be distinct with the some points. Okay, so this was all about this session. In next session, we'll again discuss many things about the entrepreneurship. Thank you.